Well, good morning. I'm wondering how you're all doing, and I'm hoping my sound is a little bit better today. I tried to fix, tried to fix my microphone a little bit better, so hopefully I'm a little bit closer and my pop filter is working correctly. I have a special, warrior thing. I was talking to one of my real friends. Well, you're my real friends too, and Discord is my real friends. Oops, too close. But I was talking to one of my people the people that I know in life, and I was posting how I am extracting again, and I have to do it because of the pain. And outside of, I've never really known anything, even the medications, even the prescription medicine that I got that ruined my stomach for the arthritis in the back. The only thing that's ever worked on it was extracting, when I was extracting different things, different vegetables and fruits and herbs and seeds and stuff like that. It's not the most palatable thing, especially at first when you're trying to get to know how much hot pepper you're trying to use, but I don't use the hot pepper all the time because my stomach won't handle it. Well, the first thing I want to do is the morning check-in, and how you are all doing on your notebooks. I don't know if I brought that out. I didn't bring that picture up on my notebook. I got mine completed for the most part, but I wanted to give people a chance, and I'm taking the week off from doing anything BPD or PTSD related because my daughter is home. And next week it will be when she is in school on Thursday and Friday, and then the following week she starts 4 days a week, so I can get more into a groove then with different things I want to do. I am going to have a health segment one day, so with different things I find out. I love learning about vitamins, nutrients, the different foods we can eat to get those nutrients and vitamins, as opposed to putting synthetic chemicals into our bodies. I don't like that, and I'm on and off with this, and I need to stay on with it. So the more I do videos about my health and nutrients and be helpful, the more I'm going to be motivated to do it myself. So it's a journey. So I wanted to teach you. I wanted to help you understand stuff I know about natural healing, which isn't much right now. It's enough to get me by. It's enough, but me looking things up all the time, it gives me an advantage because I like to learn about that stuff, and I like to learn about the molecules and what they do in your body and how they're absorbed, and what their possible effects are, and not just the possible effects when you hit, when you go in and you go onto Google itself and just Google, okay, the effects of medical health benefits of say, I'm going to tell you, I think I did turmeric yesterday, because turmeric's a thing I'm looking up on how. Okay, I gotta slow down. I looked up on turmeric yesterday because it's one of my favorite roots, turmeric root, to use in my extractor. And there's a lot of health benefits to that root. However, when you look it up on Google, that's not, your search doesn't stop there. Because on Google, anybody can create a website and make claims and turn around and tell you, hey, this is what A, B, and C that it does. And is it the right information? It's the wrong information. You never know. So I take it a step further. I look for studies done on it. Right now, granted, there's not a lot of studies done on these herbs in fruits, in vegetables, and their health benefits and what they do and what they don't. But you know what? There are some out there. So, even with the little bit that we have, it's a lot better than nothing. And some of these studies are actually going for what medicine men, tribal leaders all over the world have known about these herbs and substances. And then a lot of that probably since the world began was hit or miss on and they do what I do. Did what I did. They took the herb, it helped. Oh, wow, fine. However, there is also a thing where, and this is what I don't like about a lot of people who sell natural home remedies or natural herbs, the magic pill. You really need to go with what you know you're allergic to, what you're not, and then your personal health risks. Let's just say I take the hot pepper. I have a hiatal hernia and I have GERD. And if I eat hot pepper every single day, and it's excess, a lot of hot pepper. And there's a study out there that kind of scared me with hot pepper, because they do the hot pepper challenges. But in moderation, it's not going to hurt you unless you're allergic to some type of component that's in the pepper itself. Then I wouldn't suggest putting it in a smoothie, okay? But I do the hot pepper because of the, I never know how to say this, Caspian, is mainly found where the seeds are attached to the edge of the fruit. And it's that white stuff. That's where your main ingredient for your pain relief comes from. That's what makes the pepper hot. And that's what constitutes the hotness of the pepper. So I learned that if I put this hot pepper in my NutriBullet, and I only do it a little tiny bit, it's not hot. It doesn't, it's not like you're taking a raw hot pepper and you're just eating it and putting it in your mouth. The trick is to get it so that it's not so hot that you're tasting it, but you're getting some of the nutrient. And that's one thing. With hot peppers, I do know what I read in studies, and I will be sharing these studies with you over the coming weeks. It's not just coming out my, shooting out my behind with these things. So I will actually go online and I will, help read the studies. They have proven that Caspian, in some studies, more studies always need to be done, and a paper normally says that. In some studies, they have proven that this has actually, the capsaicin has, whatever chemical makeup that is, it hinders the growth of colon cancer cells. Think about that. Now I know Housatonic's been doing a lot about cancer research and cell research and viral research and the people involved in all that. And honestly, it's a whole different rabbit hole than I can go down. He will tell you, don't say trust your doctor. I say, who do we got to trust? Honestly. It depends, you just shop around for your doctor. You're still the number one person on your medical health team. If your doctor is not serving your purpose or becomes suspect, then you have every right to ask for a second or third opinion. You have every right to change your doctor. There are some good doctors out there that go by the regular science, not the science that's shady. And there's a lot of that science that's shady. we need to be smart about our choices in life. And one of those choices, like I said, is trusting somebody with the information you're getting. So this particular broadcast is going to be about health and how optimal brain health for especially people with mental health issues, not just borderline. It's all across the board. I always say vitamin B, like I think it's thiamine mainly, but vitamin Bs are your brain vitamin. Okay, they're for your brain. B for brain. Remember that. Think that, live that. BC complex. You got two types of vitamins out there. One that's water soluble and one that's fat soluble. The water soluble ones, the excess, it's very hard to overdose on a water soluble vitamin because anything excess that your body doesn't need to use, it just pees it out. However, there's other repercussions like, getting stones and stuff. I don't know the ins and outs of that. I'd have to look it up. If there's any vitamins or nutrients you want to look up together, put it down in the comments and we can explore. Right now, I want to keep it, a lot of these natural health healers, some frauds, even with degrees, or some that pose to have degrees, are trying to sell you a product stating how rare it is. You can only find it here or there. Or it's a product like silver. I beg to differ with these people that try to sell you. Whenever you see that, you look up the main ingredient of whatever it is, and you go online and you look up, because there's more usually that contain that particular thing. More things. And if you don't know the more things, you can always ask somebody. I mean, I'm not an expert, but there are nutritionists out there. Every doctor can refer you to a good nutritionist. So my goal for myself, for my health and on my health team, because we all have our own personal health team that we employ, and the reward is not monetary, it's more health-wise, feeling good, making it so that we don't feel any worse. My goal is to find things that work for me that I can afford. Not everybody can afford to go out and buy Colloidal Silver at $60 a pop for a little 4 milliliter bottle of whatever. Not, and I advise against any type of ingestion of any silver. That is my non-professional PhD opinion from what I've learned through Kev McCarran streams and other people and other doctors stating that it's really not a healthy thing for you. The thing that concerns me with these people who sell things like Colloidal Silver is they do not tell you the risks involved in it. They do not take in consideration. They'll just say, "Oh, go to my store and buy the product," or "Go to my website. You'll get a personal health consultation for $15 up your butt," and he won't tell you anything that's worthwhile. His name, he's a particular psychiatrist that grifts you healthy lifestyle things. And then when I asked him about the NutriBullet, and how come we couldn't get our micronutrients through that, he turned around and said something that was, from what I found, wrong. Either he's going by old school knowledge, or he's not, and he's not keeping up with date. You do not need a nutritionist or a nutrition person helping you that is not keeping up to the current data in different areas of focus and study. The use of extractor machines have been popular in the last 10, 20 years. And it grows more popular. Alright, it's the cross between the magic pill that you only take 2 seconds to down and cooking a full course meal. But to me, it's even more so the fact that I'm getting older and my body's not digesting foods very well. And I had trouble chewing and swallowing. So, what the juice extractor is designed to do, and it's not a juice extractor, it's a, it's an extraction machine. It extracts the nutrients out of it. Blends it down to its molecular form. And my body, particular body, it's been my experience with me and me only, that my body is absorbing these nutrients better than if I eat a salad. Probably because it's hard for me to chew and it's hard for me to swallow. And then I notice things like tomatoes don't even digest at all, no matter what I do. So what do? I'm 50 years old, it's not going to get any better. I mean, it can if I start taking care of myself. Which, like I said, sharing my info is designed to help me, but it's also designed to help even if I reach one person. I mean, one person listening and benefiting from some of the stuff I get and put out there, I'll be more than happy. So this particular doctor did a seminar, and through a mutual friend or foe or whatever you want to call him, I was able to ask about the NutriBullet, and he said no. Because, and this is what he said, this is not true, okay? He's a natural health person, turned around and said about the NutriBullet that it breaks it down to the sugars down to the molecular level to where your body is going to utilize the sugar and cause a sugar spike, and a diabetic especially can get hurt by that. Okay, it's going to make your sugars go way up and then way down. All right, give you a sugar high. Think about that. Let that digest what he said. Sounds good on the outside. Sounds like, hey, he might know what he's talking about, because of course, if you drink it, body's gonna like absorb it quicker, right? Oh, and the National Diabetes Foundation, there is proof that, and this is what I'm getting at, he's not keeping up with the data, because with conventionally processed or prepared fruit juice, it's not suggested to drink more than like 3 a day or use it to excess, because it does exactly the glycemic index and stuff. It does exactly what Mr. Men said. And they actually prove that whole fruit consumption is protective against type 2 diabetes. Okay, so your risk of type 2 diabetes with fruit juice goes up. And, you know, with conventionally prepared fruit juice, your risk of diabetes can go up. But if you eat the whole fruit consumption, you're protective against type 2 diabetes. It's kind of, your risk goes down. Well, that doesn't help me, does it? And I bet you anything he has that knowledge, and he's assuming that the extraction does the same thing as the fruit juice, conventionally prepared fruit juice. Now, if you look at the juicer and they take the pulp out, you're definitely taking out the fiber. And the fiber is what helps keep things together in your digestive tract. So if you're taking out the fiber, and I could see it being the case of what Mr. said. I shouldn't be doing that. I'm going to start coughing myself. Excuse me for a minute. Emily, did you want me? Did you call me? Okay, please, Emily, I asked you nicely if I could scream. Okay. You're a good girl. I love you. Thank you. I'm still streaming, hon. Alright, we made a deal. I'd give her a half an hour before I started streaming so that she knew when I was going to do it. So anyways, so where does that leave us? Kaufman was probably going by that. Okay, how do we find out what the NutriBullet does? What the Extractor does? It doesn't even have to be a NutriBullet. But when I did my homework on which extractor was the best, NutriBullet won out. Okay, so what I did was I plugged in my new screen. I plugged in my information to find out what exactly happens with nutrient extraction. And let me get up my little list of terms here. Whenever I'm looking at stuff, I turn around and okay, come on. I turn around and I open up my handy dandy word pad and I take notes on words that I don't know exactly what they mean. Alright? Alright. So here we are. I pulled this up. It's from nature.com, first of all. And this article was written in, this was actually done in, published online, October 2017. Let me make sure I got the right, yes, I got the right screen on. And lo and behold. Now the first thing I had to do was take words out and look up what they meant. Type 2 diabetes, okay, so we can remember what they are. Alright, type 2 diabetes is an impairment in the way the body regulates and uses sugar, which is glucose, as a fuel. This long-term chronic condition results in too much sugar circulating in the bloodstream. Eventually, high blood sugar levels can lead to disorders of the circulatory and nervous immune systems. In type 2 diabetes, there are primarily two interrelated problems at work. Your pancreas does not produce enough insulin, a hormone that regulates the movement of sugar into your cells, and the cells respond poorly to insulin and take in less sugar. So, type 2 diabetes used to be known as adult onset diabetes, but type 1 and type 2 diabetes can begin during childhood and adulthood. Type 2 is more common in older adults, but the increase in number of children with obesity has led to more cases of type 2 diabetes in younger people. There's no cure for type 2 diabetes, but losing weight, eating well, and exercising can help you manage the disease. I had a lady I worked with. She developed type 2 diabetes, and she worked hard at all that, and she lost the weight, and she doesn't test for diabetes anymore. Okay, so, I mean, it doesn't cure it, but she, if she doesn't take care of herself and do all that stuff on a daily basis, she's going to go back to having type 2 diabetes, is what they're saying. If diet and exercise aren't enough to manage your blood sugar, you may also need diabetes medications or insulin therapy. We don't want to get it to that point. If we do everything in our power to not get type 2 diabetes, and we exercise and watch what we eat and all that, then if we do develop it, we can say that it's nothing we did. It's nothing that we weren't not doing or doing. Okay, the other thing I had to look up was what is postprandial blood glucose. Okay, now that means it's glucose levels after the meal. In healthy, non-diabetic subjects, 2 to H, 2 hours, postprandial blood glucose levels are usually usually greater than 120 and rarely over 140 milligrams per dilution, I believe that is. Okay, so you see, a person with high glucose levels will start at 0. These are the glucose levels, okay, and gradually, this is when they eat the meal, their glucose levels will increase and then they'll decrease. Okay, and that's 120-minute mark. That's 2 hours after the meal. Now, for a person with low glucose levels, it would be the blue. It would be, this is where they're eating, and it would go up to 2, and spike at the 2, and then go down again at 2 hours. All right, this becomes important to understanding a chart we're going to be looking at. Now, if the person is healthy in what they're saying here, what would happen is they eat their meal and it comes up in between here and goes down again, okay? That's all that means. Now, the glycemic index, this is something that I didn't know. Okay, excuse me. It's a number from 0 to 100 assigned to a food. So it's nothing to do with in your body. It's assigned to a food with pure glucose arbitrarily given to the value of 100. Okay, so, which represents the relative rise in blood glucose level 2 hours after consuming the food. So the glycemic index of a specific food depends primarily on the quantity and type of carbohydrate it contains. The carbs. See, when you're extracting, when you're conventionally preparing your fruit juice and you're taking out your pulp and your carbohydrates, you're left with nothing but sugar. So this is means specific food depends primarily on the quantity of the type of carbohydrate it contains, but also it is affected by the amount of the entrapment of the carbohydrate molecules within the food, the fat and protein content of the food, the amount of organic acids or their salts in the food, and whether it is cooked, and if so, how it is cooked. Glycemic index tablets are available that list many types of food. Oh, I read that wrong. Let's see. Glycemic index tables are available that list many types of foods and their glycemic indexes. I can't wait to find that. I didn't read that fully. A food is considered to have a low glycemic index if it is 55 or less, high glycemic index if it's 70 or more, and mid-range glycemic index if it's 56 to 69. What a good number. Anyways, So I'm going to keep that open because when we read this, we just have to remember what all these terms are. Now, Mr. gave me an answer. This man has a PhD. He is an MD, but not. He's an MD in psychiatry. However, he's a natural healing food person. So you would think he would know what he's talking about, correct? Well, I don't judge those books by their covers. And so my pigheadedness is A, my worst enemy, and B, my best friend. I'm very pigheaded, and I always have to be right. And I hate being wrong. It's a double-edged sword. So I go and I look it up, and I don't go to the main Google page and look up Wiki. Okay? These definitions, I looked it up in Wiki and went to, because they're universal definitions. It's not like there's any hidden thing under there, For a universal definition, Wikipedia and all that is great. But it's fine. But then you find the information within that, and then you take it to other places. See where I'm going with that? You don't just rely on the information you're given just with a basic Google search. I learned when I was in college about this thing called Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a place where you can find law and medical papers. And most of them are paid. So I get access to these papers. Do I pay? Who knows? I get access to these medical papers. And I open the ones I have access to. Sometimes I don't have access to them. But this one is stating, the exact opposite of what Mr. Min told me. Nutrient extraction blender preparation, reduces postprandial glucose responses from the fruit consumption. Wait a minute. Now, if it reduces it, Kaufman said it goes up. It increases it. Not only did it increase it, it made it spike too quickly. All right, let's see. For the sake of being old, let's actually put that up a little bit. Although whole fruit consumption is regarded as protective against type 2 diabetes, conventionally prepared fruit juice is associated with increased type 2 diabetes risk. See, this is where I got my information that I told you before. All right. Public health advice recommends its restriction, the conventionally prepared fruit juice. All right, and then the postprandial glucose levels. Yeah. Oh, my knees are hurting. I gotta do another juice. The current study investigated the effect of nutrient extraction on postprandial blood glucose response and glycemic index compared with a glucose control for both mixed fruit and a high glycemic fruit, which was a mango. Remarkably, consumption of the nutrient extracted mixed fruit resulted in a significant lowering, which was 32.7 lowering, plus or minus 8.5, compared to the whole fruit mix. The whole mixed fruit, which was 66.2 plus or minus 8.2. For the high glycemic index mango, there was no difference between nutrient extracted and the whole fruit. we're not really concerned at this point about fruit juice. So we're looking at, because the whole fruit is the one that is suggested to keep your risk of type 2 diabetes down. So we're comparing it to that. Alright. So anyways, it was published on, I look for, in this, I'll look for this. Well, I look at the names, okay? There's just one name I get suspect. I look at who did the study. And this is on Google Scholar. And then I look at the date it was published. If this was a 2002 paper, I would throw it away. Look for something newer. Okay? Now, I hope I highlighted what fruits they use for the mixed fruit. Because I'm like, last night thinking about it, I'm like, we don't know what those mixed fruit was, did we? I'm like, did they say it or did they not? Anyways, hold on. So here we are, the introduction. Increased fruit consumption is associated with the lowering the risk of multiple chronic diseases. It goes on to say, it recommends limiting fruit juice to 150 milliliters per day. That's the fruit juice itself. Because fruit juice is associated with increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes. Alright, association of fruit consumption is an increased risk of, okay, I did that. Consumption of whole fruit was not associated with type 2 diabetes risk, but was actually associated with lowering the risk. However, fruit restriction in a group of newly diagnosed type 2 diabetes had no impact on glycated hemoglobin, although the intervention and control groups were advised to exclude fruit juice entirely from their diets. Furthermore, two recent meta-analyses were not able to identify each conclusive evidence to support an association between fruit juice consumption and type 2 diabetes. Okay, so there was a report, I don't know what that report was, that said they couldn't conclusively have evidence that it actually increases your risk, basically. And that's the fruit juice. That's the juice. Conventionally made fruit juice. Alright, now, an increase in popularity of the fruit extractor. Those blenders homogenize the whole fruit without removing fiber. That's the key to all that. Okay? It doesn't, when I put they want you to eat the whole fruit. Well, when I say I put a lemon into my blender, I slice the lemon, cut it in half, make sure I wash it off, of course, before slicing it. And then I put the whole thing in. I put the rind and everything in. So I'm actually putting more fiber in there, because what do we normally do with the peels? We do the zest of lemon and some things, or, but a lot of people throw it in the mulch pile. Oranges. I cut the orange and, wash it, of course, and I put the whole orange in there. All right. The only thing that I don't do the whole fruit with is I will actually cut an apple and core it. And the core will go in the mulch pile or in the garbage. Why? Because apple seeds are, in general, toxic to human beings, and you should not be ingesting them. So anything like that is what I wouldn't recommend doing. But, so I'm getting more, because what do we do with orange peels? Mulch pile. Or garbage. Waste to go in garbage. Or if you're making a real fancy drink, you can zest of orange on top. Anyways, it's critical to understand the impact of this method of juicing fruit on postprandial glycemic response in order to provide an up-to-date public health guidance. The present study compared the postprandial glycemic responses of the fruit hominidized using a commercially available nutrient extractor against whole fruit and glucose control in healthy volunteers. And guess what? It used the NutriBullet. Okay? What is a NutriBullet? A NutriBullet is a home blender designed to extract the nutrients of fruits and vegetables. Extracted food is pre-digested. Okay, that's what they say. It's pre-digested. They're digesting it. It's bypassing the mouth. Okay, bypassing most of the mastication where your saliva is breaking down some of the foods, which I think includes fiber. I'm not up to date with that. So this was a small study, okay? So more studies do need to be done. This was relatively small, but it was done actually in a good way. They took their subjects, you know, let's see. It was basically a small group, okay? Consisted of 19 people. All right, the group with mixed fruit, it was 19 people, 7 men and 12 females, between the ages of 20 and 24. Then with they were all healthy volunteers. And with the mango, it was 9 people total, so it was really small. 4 males and 5 females, 20 to 27. So it really, in my age group, it really wasn't relevant where that, but I wasn't looking for that. I was just looking for something that proved wrong. And they did exclusion criteria, which was body mass index. You know, they couldn't be obese. They weren't pregnant. They didn't have a fruit allergy. They didn't have known diabetes. They weren't glucose intolerant or insulin resistant. And the use of medication known to interfere with glucose homeostasis or intestinal absorption were cut. Written informed consent was given. I mean, and it really wasn't a bad thing, you know, study. What they did was they gave, basically, it looks like they gave glucose, a full glucose meal to the people. They measured their glucose levels using the 2-hour method, you know, where everything was at 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 75 minutes. These were all the points where they measured the glucose level of these individuals using a glucometer that was calibrated. And the controlled group for the bulk, they did it where the people did their glucose. I think they had each participant served as their own control group, basically. All right, it was a crossover design. And what they did was they made them fast, I think a couple days before the actual meals were digested. All right, the glucose meal, they asked them not to do anything that was basically going to affect their glucose levels. They came in, had the glucose meal, and they did their blood glucose levels at those times. And then they did the same thing, you know, where they came in after they fasted and stuff, and the people who had the mixed fruit meal, the same thing. They had their meal, and then they measured it the same way, and then the whole fruit meal, the whole mango meal was done. And they come out with a pretty amazing thing. I mean, if you look at this graph, you will see that at the meal, they started it. This is for the whole fruit, and then the nutrient extracted fruit, okay? Meaning, I think this was the mixed fruit bunch. Now the glucose is this one. They did the glucose meal right here. Okay, so I can't highlight it. So anyways, the glucose meal they ate, and then notice it only went up to 2.5. The other diagram that we had over here, whoops, to the side, it went up to 4 when a person was high glucose levels. Okay, so their graph only goes up to 2.5 or 3. So it only goes up to here, and that's because that's within the normal range of a healthy individual with their glucose levels. So what just happened? So anyway, just a bowl of happiness right now. So what happened was they measured it, and the glucose actually spiked, went up pretty high, spiked like said about what it would do with the extractor. And then it came down and down, 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 down. Okay. With the whole fruit, what it did, it came up, 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 and then spiked here, which was lower, you know, which now you can see why it's a lower chance of becoming a diabetic. That's pretty cool. And then it comes down. And then down, down, down. Now, with the nutrient extracted fruit, notice this. This is a noticeable difference. It went up and there was no spike. So what does that tell me? I left a fiber in my stuff. I don't know if they left a fiber in their stuff. You know, I don't know if they peeled it or what they did. Alright, did they peel their fruit, or did they just put it, it says they did the whole fruit without removing the fiber. Wait a minute. Nutrients contain both sugar per the mixed fruit arm was consistent of the following: banana, mango, passion fruit, pineapple, kiwi, and raspberries. While for the mango arm, it was just mango alone. All fruits were washed, peeled, and cut up. Okay, so they did peel it. But they didn't put the peel in. Huh. They should have left the peel in and seen what happened. I'll have to look for more studies. But anyways, they took the peel off. And look at this. It's actually more stable across the board with their glucose levels. It's like level. It doesn't spike at all. It's like there's no sugar spike. Is that healthier in a healthy individual? I think it would be, but you know, I like that. I'm not like peaking and then going down. So anyways, that was with the whole fruit, you know, the mix that I just let you know about. And then you have the blood glucose. I bet you banana. Banana is really high in fiber. Yeah, it was banana and raspberries are superfoods. So, anyway, okay, let's get off subject. And then with the whole mango fruit, the glucose levels did the same thing as they did up here. And then the whole mango was right here. It kind of went up here and then down here and whatever. And then the nutrient extracted mango, because the glycemic index of a mango is higher than normal fruit, so it just, you know, it went up and then came down. So you see that the whole mango with the higher glycemic wasn't as noticeable there. But in a whole mango, do I put the fruit, the skin in the NutriBlender with a mango? I think I do. But they didn't, probably. They didn't. And what I would think is that because there's less, I mean, if you look at a mango, the peel's less. So there's less fiber in it. So of course it's gonna go up higher and spike. So you gotta be, you know, Got to be smart about it and look at what you're eating. The high glycemic food, fruits, especially if you're diabetic. This is a thing a lot of your natural health healers will not even get into. If you're diabetic, you got to go see your doctor before you start any type of natural food thing. Before you start colloidal silvers. See your doctor. I had my doctor look at all the ingredients in the isogenics shake. Okay? Before I did it. And I'll tell you, if I didn't do the juicing with the extractor and that wasn't the cheapest way to do it for me, then I would be doing the isogenics if I could afford it. Because there was nothing in that would actually harm me. And I felt good doing it. Now, so you see, the results were pretty impressive as far as keeping your glucose levels stable and calm. Stable and even keel. So I proved wrong a little bit. Even though this was a very small study, okay? I'm going to look for more studies. But so far it's looking good with my search to see about nutrient extraction and what it does with your fruits and with your body. Like I said, not a lot of studies are even done with this stuff. So that is that part of my video. Because I didn't even change that. Okay. Just go. Just get out of here. Don't save. Okay. That is that part. Let's see, maybe warrior screen. So, is everybody with me? I don't have any watchers, but that's okay. I'm gonna go on to my next topic, and that is going to be a little bit more complicated. But what I want to show, because I'm not very happy at the present time. This area of topic is going to be one where I'm very let down by my American peers that can't see what's going on. I'm going to try to say this in the nicest way possible. And I'm going to try to get through with awareness of what I feel and why I feel it. All people see from me is on social media when I go off or when I make sarcastic remarks. There's a reason for it. I'm not a Democrat, and for the most part, I'm not a Republican. I'm somewhere in the middle, like most Americans are. There's no topic that you're going to totally agree on 100% one way or another. You got to choose between the lesser of the two evils. But this isn't really about politics, but it is. Because you see, the American people have been played. And the American people have been played using the people who are the less fortunate of the Americans, the ones who need the help, the ones who are affected the most, and they were played. by a player. And they were taken advantage of. And this isn't about race or racism. This isn't about anything other than the fact that the American people have a displaced anger about what has gone on in the United States over the past year. You see, I live in a small village, and I've lived here over 10, 15 years. And I've seen this village grow and expand and get nicer through the hard work and dedication of people in higher positions and people in authoritative positions and people who are in responding positions. To help this area grow and have people actually live a life they like for the citizens. We've had leadership that brought more small businesses into here. What is a small business? What do I mean by that? The mom and pop stores. I'm not talking about Walmart. I'm not talking about JCPenney or G-Fox or any of that. I'm not even talking about Aldi's, although Aldi's is less expensive for people to shop at. I'm talking about the mom and pop store up the street that sells and has sold French baked items for over 20, 25, 30 years. Talking about the pizza place that started as a small Italian family business that has been there for over 30 years. The furniture store that just closed, and unfortunately, the owner passed away. That's a small business. I'm talking about a couple new small businesses that came into town. One's a restaurant. These small businesses, and then there's another person. I have to mention him because I love him. I mean, we got another business that has small businesses within the business. And the small business owners helped formulate groups of people to help clean up the town. Okay? They provide us with a service of a personal service. We know their names. We know who owns these places. We see their smiles, their highs. We get to see them prosper and grow. Even though, I'm sitting on my behind and I'm not doing anything. So why should I get any? You know what I'm saying? These people work hard for their businesses. They over 24/7. I bet you if there was 52, 60 hours in a day, I bet you they'd be working that. One of the business owners actually falls asleep in an opportunity place in inappropriate places, which is kind of cute. They got money. Yeah, they worked hard for it. Can they hand these businesses down to their children? Yeah, they can, because they worked hard for it. A business is not an easily thing run. It's not easy to start it. It brings things in to a town or a place. It draws people. We have the best fireworks at the 4th of July. We have a lot of things. We got the Santa house. We've got a whole bunch of things that are out there for our children to do and for us to get out of the house, even though, right now we're stuck in, we're going to be getting out and mingling again and having a good time and making memories. We make memories together, even though you don't feel like the town was involved in your memory with the 4th of July. But you were sitting at the town green or up at Henry Park and you were watching those fireworks, weren't you? And the town put that on. They made it possible. And you know who donates the most to these things? It's our business owners. Okay? Especially the small business owners that want to keep our town going. These small business owners are part of helping our kids be happy and make memories. When a new business comes into town, it creates a couple new positions for jobs. Would you rather work in town or have to drive 2 hours to get to your job? And I learned that another thing, there might be other things, so maybe this is a good conversation starter. What does small businesses bring to town to you? What does that mean to you? What does your mom and pop stores mean to you? Fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, you're eating better, you're eating healthier. You got a cow town right next door. Lots of good people in those farms. Subsidiary. Subsidy. What does that word mean? A sum of money granted by the government for a public body to assist an industry or business so that the price of commodity or services may remain low or competitive. If you take businesses out of a town, and those prices don't remain competitive, who's to say inflation's not going to make you pay $10 for a gallon of milk even? Sometimes I don't know what to believe where people's heads are at. If you're going to protest against the big man's business, like Target, like Walmart, like all those, leave the little man's business alone. Sat there and we watched on television that riot that happened. It's all over the news now with the arrested members that stormed a building that had snipers on the roof and cops all around that got pushed around, and a couple people, 3 people died, I think. And yes, we shouldn't have had that happen. I'm not saying we should have. That particular building is very protected, and a lot of Americans are protective of it, which is all fine and dandy because that's where our laws are made, I guess. But it's still a protected building. It still has over police activity, and sometimes, a lot of times, military. It also has snipers on the roof at all times when the president is there. And yet the American people cried out, justice. Justice. Why are they storming? Why are they storming? Called them all sorts of names. I'm not for that, okay? I think that was stupid. I think that was disrespectful. I think that showed every amount of bullying and misrepresentation of what the American people is all about. It was very misrepresented. Those people don't represent me and how I feel. Those people represent a group of people who are in a far group, all by, with thinking that's obtuse. Some of it's obtuse, some of it might not be. You don't do that if you want your government to survive, if you want to live in a land of the free. The more you push like that in a government like this, the more laws you're going to have freedoms taken away. Might I add, you're abusing your constitutional rights. Now, my Facebook page blew up with anger that they stormed the Capitol, a place with snipers on the roof and heavy police presence, even military presence. Where was that anger last May? Huh? Let me show you something.
Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Shit, shit. Look at y'all stupid ass. You came out with a sword.
That was a businessman trying to protect his business from people who were destroying that block of land. He had no snipers to protect him. And yet the American right that he had, being a small business owner, trying to live the American dream, his business gets teared down and he gets beat up because he was defending his business. I don't care what he had in his hands. He didn't have snipers on the roof. He didn't have a heavy police presence, and he didn't have the military defending him. Many of these people are black. But when you see the protests where they're calling out names, these names weren't called out. They didn't matter. Get it? I am amplifying their voice. I am amplifying the voice of the small business owner that has been beaten to a pulp protecting his business. I don't care who's doing it. Far right, far left. And I'll tell you one thing. If that group had torn away from protesting and torn away from the riots afterwards, I would say, okay, maybe they're peaceful protesters. But since a riot happened after every major peaceful protest, I'm tending to think that it was a psyop. Listen, say their names. This man, 43, Minnesota, Horton, was fatally shot near Minneapolis Police Department's 3rd Precinct 2 days after Floyd's death, in what was believed to be the first killing since the protests began. Did his name get said? Are they calling out his name? Javar Harrell, 21, of Michigan. He was shot May 29th as protests erupted in Detroit. His family has said he was not protested, and it's not clear whether his death was even connected to them. Dave Patrick, shot while on guard duty outside a federal courthouse. Targeted by a drive-by shooting amid nearby protests. James Surlock. Notice what I'm circling. Where's his name when they're calling out names? Okay. And bar owner. Well, I don't like bars anyways, but that's not, it doesn't matter what type of business it was. They're still people. They're still owners. Okay? Run over and killed by a FedEx truck. Local business owner was killed May 30th amid unrest in Indianapolis. Okay? Look at all these people and look at all their names. Protest, protest, protest. This all happened last year. There's more than this. I mean, do these lives matter? Business owners. Beaten to a pulp. This isn't even the people that include what I just showed you. I mean, if that video doesn't make you angry or doesn't make you wake up to see what's going on and where your anger should be, maybe this one will get through to you.
Yes. Got his business caught on fire. I'm sorry, sir. I'm very sorry about that, man.
Yeah, really.
Hey, I had nothing to do with that. I'm trying to stop this shit here. Dude, I'm gonna help this guy. I don't give a fuck if I get beat up.
The hero complex.
They just threw a bottle at this guy. Hey! 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 No! Turn his head, turn his head, turn his head, turn his head. He's drowning. He's drowning on his blood. Turn his head. Leave him there, leave him there. Just leave him there. Just leave him there. It's his building. He was trying to defend his building and they beat the shit out of him. Put this under his head so he can rest on it. Yeah, I got you, Here, put your leg under there. Are you alright? Are you alright?
They burned that building down anyway. He's a business owner. Like I said, I've been watching businesses come and go into this town, and I've been learning, and I've been seeing business owners, and I come to love many of them. And do you know how I would feel, or anybody would feel, if you ever did any of this stuff to them? How would you feel if this was your town? And half these people that did this came in from other states, and they don't live there. They never did live there. And they're trashing it. Okay? Business owner didn't have snipers. He was only armed with a fire extinguisher. He didn't have thousands of cops protecting him or the military protecting him. And yet they beat him up like that and then burned his building down. Think about it. Where is your rage? How come it took an attack on the Capitol to get you angry? I don't care what side was doing it. I don't care whether it was the Antifa, whether it was Black Lives Matter, whether it was the Boogaloo Boys, whether it was a white supremacy group, whether it was neo-Nazis or anything. I don't care. Where is your anger that this happened in the United States? As a citizen, to business owners on those streets who had no snipers on the roofs of the building or anybody to protect them. But now if you look it up, all you see is headlines from the Capitol riot. Why? My friends tried to tell me when I was posting about this stuff, oh, they're peaceful protests. That's not very peaceful to me. That's murder. It's murder. And it happened in every single major protest of every town they went into. To the business owners. And some people that were trying to defend their stuff are the ones that got arrested. While these people walked. I'm just trying to bring awareness to what happened. Okay, now January 5th, 2001. Damage from Minneapolis riots still unfixed. More than 150 properties suffered heavy damage and were burned extensively during the rioting that followed the death of the man that the cop is on trial for today. Still, to this day. 4 months after Minneapolis promised to kick in $2 million to help clean up damaged and destroyed buildings from last year's riots, not much has happened. As a matter of fact, look what's going on. This was from February 2021. Diner owners sue Minneapolis for damage from George Floyd unrest. Okay. Owners of a Lake Street restaurant destroyed in the rioting that followed George Floyd's death have filed a lawsuit against the city of Minneapolis and Mayor Jacob Frey, arguing that they should have done more to prevent the devastation, which they should have. The federal lawsuit was filed by Casey White and Charles Scotts, who own the Town Talk Diner. Now, you can read this for yourself. It's from Star Tribune. All right. And here's the headline. Diners sue over damage. All right. Now, what concerned me is... Where did I read it? Basically, what the towns are doing is they're telling these people they have such and such time to clean it up. And when the people are asking for help to pay for the damage, they're getting turned down for the help. So these small business people are supposed to be paying for something that other people from out of town came into their place and did. And that's a travesty. That's a travesty. These business owners put their blood, sweat, and tears into these businesses. They're small business owners. They brought all this stuff to this town. You know, the people that lived there in those streets that were the poorer streets with the black communities, that this other group that claims to want to help, now have to go further to shop. They have to go, you know, they lost part of their heritage, basically, because that's where they lived. That's where their children was growing up. The streets, they used to say hi to people. You know, I mean, they still say hi to people. So, but why should they have to be walking down a street with burned buildings and hazards all around, even a year after this happened? Why? These people promised to build up these places for the poorer communities. These people promised to bring in help for their children to be able to go to school and rise above the poverty level, to go to college. They promised to help build the community up. And here you see it was torn down. And it remains torn down. And it's millions of dollars of damage. 4.5, the diner owners are seeking at least $4.5 million in damages plus interest and attorney's fees. It's a diner, small business owner. Blood, sweat, and tears into that business. And there's that type of damage. Unbelievable. No snipers on the roof to defend them. There are no cops around to defend them. As a matter of fact, they burned the police station down there. And this is happening. This isn't the only place it happened. It's happening. It was happening all across America last year. And it has been happening for years, not just last year, in Oregon, where the crap has been happening. Where is your outrage for your fellow American that tried so hard to get the business going, and then somebody came and they just disrespected them and pulled it away from them? And They weren't even the citizens of that town that did it. And they weren't the ones picking up after they did it to make the roads safe so that people could walk on sidewalk even. It was the townspeople. If that, you know how hurt, how destroyed in my heart I'd be if that happened in my little section of the woods. You know how my heart would bleed for all the business owners I know that make their living here, that try, that take care of my kid. And I tell you, if I didn't have some of these people to help me, I don't know where I'd be right now. And some of these business owners that lost their businesses, their small businesses, were black. Did their lives matter? Say their names. Say their names. Now, this being said, and me showing you that it's still not picked up, every single American, I don't care who you are, what like a life you're from, you should really be a little bit irate and demanding of full transparency with something. Because if you don't get full transparency, the United States people have been used, they've been extorted, and they've been played for fools. For fools. Okay? So if you don't, if nobody rises up to demand transparency after I just showed you all this and hold somebody accountable for something, then you're no better than everybody else that just, you don't care about our communities. This wasn't about community in the first place. This was all about politics. This was all about getting a candidate into office. It's not about you or me or the little guy. It has nothing to do with us. We don't have the money. Money talks, bullshit walks, you know? It's not even about us. But they played us. Millions of dollars of damage in our small businesses that actually bear the things that make America great. Small business owners, mom and pop stores, they are the heart of the American way. They are the heart of us. And they're, for the most part, mostly good people that run these stores, unless you get a shady character, which in any group of persons you get. I want outrage. I want full transparency. I am very angry that I lost friendships over this crap. All right? Because on social media, if you don't have the group mentality and you don't agree with the group, and you don't go along with the crowd, you're ousted. I get ignored now. Nobody listens to me. People take pot shots. Okay? I'm not allowed to have my own opinion on things. And yet everybody else is. I got blocked by a couple people. I don't care. If you're going to block me and you're supposed to be that close to me as especially a family member, then do I really need you in my life? Because I'm not going to sit there and go with your agenda. I do not agree with it. I think that's a shame. I've known you for years, and because you get involved in one little group, it's going to allow you to tear a family apart, which was torn apart before this anyway, so it really didn't matter to me. Unfortunately, People in my life, some of them have become strangers. And some of them showed that they really don't care by blocking me. Just because I don't agree with this crap. Killing people and burning small businesses down, I don't agree with it. Just because I called this out. Every time there was a protest, there was a riot. Every time. You tell me they didn't have them coming in. Because that's what these other groups, the Antifa groups, do. You call them in to protect you. Get it? They didn't disassociate in the beginning, so they were part of it. That's the way I feel, and you're not going to change my opinion. And you know what? Why do you want to be a family member or friends with somebody who you can sit there and you can manipulate and change their opinion anyways very easily? I don't like it when somebody tries to manipulate my opinion. My opinion's my own. You have no business in my opinion. You have no business trying to tell me to shut up. That was another thing that happened on Facebook. Or social media. Shut the fuck up. No. You know what? You said your opinion. Why am I not allowed my opinion? You don't tell me to shut up. Especially if you're a family member. That was wrong. That hurt my feelings. But you know what? I'm a big girl. I put on my big girl pants and said, you know what? Oh well, if you want to be like that, I don't want to be around somebody that's going to treat me that way and make me feel bad about myself. So given all this other stuff where businesses are getting destroyed by certain unnamed groups of people, like I said, stuff I do not agree and will never agree with, this is where you should be upset, outraged. You were played. Where did I put it? Did anybody look into this woman before last year? Honestly. A couple months ago, one of the partners here was arrested for fraud. But look, how much does she actually make to buy $1 million home in California? Well, they were storming the Capitol. She was buying $1 million home in a predominantly white neighborhood. Not only that, you go down and it's been brought out that she's been buying real estate, binge buying, and all the high-end homes add up for $3.2 million. She's living the high life, folks. She don't care about anybody in the projects. If she did, she would have moved closer to the projects and given some money to them. Well, she got to go out and buy that home. Okay? And if you were looking into her before last year, you would notice that she started this last year. It's her home in Georgia. If you go around calling yourself a socialist, you have to ask how much of their own personal money is going into charitable causes. It's really sad because it makes people doubt the validity of the movement and overlook the fact that it's the people that carry this movement. This woman has been doing this for years. Since she helped found this organization. She's been buying. Doesn't say she sold anything. She wasn't flipping houses. So she bought them. We need more information. She didn't rise to national prominence until 2013. Okay? She lives better than anybody I know. And yet, she sits in that mansion, or one of her homes, feet up, martini in hand, nice clothes, living a high life. Wow. It's been reported all these cities that have been burned and wrecked haven't even really been helped by Black Lives Matter at all. Have a nice day.